Hi, everybody. I put together a piece. I've been gathering information on this stuff for a really long time now, and I finally kind of like got a few missing pieces together, and I wanted to share this information. I'm really looking forward to connecting with people from my soul tribe who have this templating, who already have intimate knowledge about some of the stuff that I'm going to share so that I can hopefully connect with some of you and just dive deeper into some of this stuff. Also regarding tools and different supportive methods for moving through this process more seamlessly. So the title of the piece, which you can find at storytelling4times.com, is Stargate Keepers. And the definition that I put together is a Stargate Keeper is a soul that has incarnated with a specific DNA encoding, carrying the ability to not only increase the vibration of other souls they interact with, but truly activate dormant DNA, which allows those souls to enter into different dimensional densities. So, if this stuff resonates with you, you'll know what I'm talking about. The goal of a Stargate Keeper is to learn to distinguish between the different soul frequencies they come into contact with, to distinguish which people are aligned for activation and which are not. The main goal is to participate in the biospiritual regenesis of the planet and to aid as many souls as possible with their ascension process. So the reason why it's so important to be selective, from my experience, is that once a connection is made, once a connection is firmly established, a great number of changes are made to the energetic field of not only your body, right? Not only yourself and the other person, but the Earth's template and the collective shared reality. So, because changes, like if you come into contact with someone who has this template, or if you have this template and then you're doing this work, changes are happening on like a multi-dimensional level. And if an unhealthy connection is firmly established, like with people who have this templating, then like the basic, law of cause and effect takes place, and there's adjustments that are made to the time matrix that can't be, once things are done, they're done, and then, we're only working to further, to attempt at making further adjustments. So, this information is really key in co-creating things in alignment to where we ought to be taking them. And we learn as we go along. And for sure, as I continue reading on, because I'm reading from my article and just making, adding little comments here and there. But as I read on, you're going to see that I'm sure some of you who have this template have had these experiences, and we're kind of like sorting things out as we go along and then figuring out like, whoa, there's these deeper purposes that we have regarding that's encoded within our DNA that are, it's just, grasping them is it's nothing to do with like the mundane everyday stuff that we're doing here on the planet, right? We're really moving energy, and everything has a consequence, and there's a lot of responsibility in that, and there's a lot of power in that. So as a Stargate Keeper, you are responsible for who you allow access to into these higher dimensional realms that you have that are encoded within your template. So it's a co-creative process, but in the case of someone who holds these codes within their template, you'll have greater knowledge as to what this process actually means, like both viscerally and interdimensionally. And depending on your gifts, you're going to sense it through these different channels. In the 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th density time matrices, small movements and intentions have huge ramifications to the Earth's magnetic field, the Earth's magnetic template and collective reality field. So in lower densities, it takes much longer to make changes on a large scale, and it's usually impossible. Like two people will come together, they're not going to have be able to affect change on such a large scale unless they have these templates, and unless they're moving in great number. So many people moving in great number simultaneously towards driving consciousness towards a specific goal will in effect, be able to make these changes. And that's kind of what's happening right now in terms of like all this preconditioning and this pre-programming that happens in early childhood. People in large numbers are being driven to co-create in a certain direction, and that's why things are the way they are. But then you have people that have these templates within their human codex, right? And it allows them to actually step out of this kind of time matrix and this density, and through this co-creative process of working with different souls, can have huge impacts, and actually shift the time matrix and the time and what's happening in this density. So there's a lot of responsibility in it, and this is why I'm bringing all of this up and why I decided to bring this information forward, because those that are carrying this template, that are intimately aware of what this process is, what they've been up against in the reality field, in terms of having this knowledge encoded within them, and feeling the responsibility of what this is, and also having made mistakes, and having to have learned from them, will understand and will understand what this is about, and will wish to connect with people as well who understand this information. So the main mode of co-creation is through the womb for a female, and for a male it's through their wand of fire, so the staff of creation that they are able to throw within the still point of the fulcrum. I'm not too sure exactly how the process is for males, for the masculine, because I'm a I'm a feminine, so like having this process explained in detail from a masculine would be really interesting. But this is, from my understanding, this is how it comes together. And not all templates are a match to begin with. So despite which blood codes you're carrying, it just might not be a match, and typically you will only physically feel the exchange of energy if the person is a match, on some important level, like right within doing this work within that template. So I can dive, there's a lot of different angles, and I can dive into people coming into contact with each other and energetic osmosis and all that, but this is not really what this is about. This is specifically about reaching different stargates, and holding certain stargate frequencies within your template, and being a keeper of those, and what that experience is and what those processes are. So in many cases you will feel the person's soul energy. You won't feel the person's soul energy whatsoever when you're coming into contact with different people. You just won't feel their soul energy at all. And usually this is an indication that this type of spiritual work will not be a part of your mission here with them. So, in the cases where you can't feel the energy of those you come into contact with, I think it's possible that they've already reached those gates, or that they simply are vibrating at a frequency, or that they just don't have any of the genetic matches to do this type of work. In the cases of infiltration, you will be able to psychically sense the energy entering the womb, but not with the purpose of biospiritual regenesis of the Earth's templates to correct, adjust, and align timelines. It will be sensed as a codependent energy or mother or father wounding connection. And I think this is, the majority of interactions that I have are sort of in this nature. It's people that are just, it's like these kind of lower connections that come in, and you kind of sense them. But when it's really about reaching these, co-creating to move through different stargates, like it's a whole other level of experience that can't even be compared. But these are still like kind of these lesser experiences, and like the energy, you can still feel like the energy kind of come in a stronger way. But it's like this, often this codependent, either a lost soul or a soul that's healing, and especially when the mother-father wounds, this is often between the masculine and feminine, this is going to come up as healing continues to activate around the globe. So The worst case scenarios are, interacting with different entities who have cultivated their occult skills enough to manipulate energy for self-serving purposes. And I've interacted with a few of those as well. And that's it's a pretty intense experience, which moves more into like the forced breeding, kind of like when we describe the forced breeding and all of that. It's a skilled entity with missing genetic codes, that has the capacity to enter your field without being initially detected. They will usually carry strong abilities in maintaining their energetic force within you for the required gestational period of those two energies coming together, like the time needed to alchemize with your energy long enough for both seeds to merge and to create the energy bond together within that energetic field, like within the seeds that have merged together, that allow them to enter these stargates. But they will usually like violently take the merged seeds out once they've combined, and keep them for themselves. So essentially stealing the combined seed potential to further their ascension process of self-serving goals. And so, yeah, there's a bunch of those out there that we have to be careful, and also bringing this information forth makes it less possible for these things to take place. So as soon as anything of darkness comes to the light, once it has been seen, it starts to heal. So discussing this is like it's already healing just by bringing this stuff to the light. There are cases of infiltration, non-consensual means to activate various stargates that are being subconsciously driven and insisted upon due to the soul moving through a healing process. And in which case, an empathic kind of like, that octopus energy will be sensed. And these people are just, seeking for connection to the higher force and looking for inner balance. And this is like the majority of contact between the negative and the positive happening on the planet. It's like people are trying to find balance, and no matter how distorted that looks, like, no matter how much the energies have been inverted within their system, within their spindle, they're still, unless at the core, unless they've completely sort of carry no human DNA whatsoever. But in general, the majority of people still have intact a huge part of their natural human DNA. And everybody's looking to find balance, right? And to do this healing work. So, they do not have, so going back to the forced breeding, like these people don't have the intention of co-creating for the greater good of all, balanced within the realms of the divine feminine and masculine forces. They also, they can be highly advanced beings from other realms of density that have acquired knowledge of the methods for repairing their DNA and are seeking to simply steal the missing parts to complete their own DNA energetic blueprint without doing the actual integration work. Their main goal is control, power, and immortality. So the main methods of dealing with energy infiltration is something that I wanted to share, and hope to also receive information from other people who are doing this work, who resonate, who understand it. And some main methods for infiltration are transmutation and reattachment, as far as my experience and understanding of it. And it's reattaching the attachment, insertion, the energy cord to other gates and points on the Earth's grid or in higher dimensional frequencies. So the goal is to assist even the most tormented beings with their ascension towards healing and enlightenment. So I think I mentioned that. But, if you're working from a very high dimensional kind of vision of what's going on, everything is moving, everything has to move in the same direction. So it doesn't matter where we're at, where we find ourselves. We want everybody to move towards integration and move towards, coming into wholeness in the present. So reattaching their energetic field, like if you feel that infiltration, then just bringing it to the Earth's grid, into the places where where the Earth's grid has been untampered with, or into higher plane, like higher densities, where it's just like that one next level up for them. You can just assist them in making their own connection to Source. If you connect like that energetic cord, like the seed that they're kind of like are attaching onto you with, then if you connect it to anywhere in the astral plane, it will stay attached to you. From my experience, and it could have ramifications on your energetic system, or allow them to continue kind of like siphoning off your life force. So it needs to be grounded into the Earth's crystal grid matrix, or into higher dimensional planes and densities, so it may come to elevate their frequency, right? And this is where they essentially want to remove the middleman. So a lot of people are doing this work, they're just not quite sure, they have missing pieces, going through the healing process, and so they're looking for that middleman. And so one of my main teachings has always been like, we have to ditch the middleman on everything. We have to just think for ourselves. We have to start questioning everything for ourselves. It's the only way to truly start integrating information. And as soon as we go to these outside sources, like through other people, and assume to become fixated on receiving the information we need through any one person, aside from ourselves and aside from like the information shared, then we're basically hooking ourselves into them. So I always recommend, if things are truly decentralized in moving forward in the way that we want to see them, you're not going to see like hierarchy in the sense that we have it. It's going to be just like it's going to be a mutual exchange of information, gifts, and talents. And you're not going to have these kind of people that, just stay codependent and addicted to any one person to give them their next step on their ascension. So we want to assist these people by removing that energy cord and then hooking it into the natural system, so that they can continue doing the work on their own and really develop their own independence in that. So understanding methods and function of alchemical union when co-creating Stargate experiences for someone holding this greater awareness as a gatekeeper is to have the ability to assist a soul into higher dimensional densities, as previously mentioned. As a female, you intuitively sense the co-creative expression of this process within you as a cosmic pregnancy. And I'm not sure how the masculine experienced this, but probably similar in terms of like the energies merging will have a certain potency and, a certain feeling of being full, right, of something gestating. And in essence, you're accepting and allowing the energetic seed to enter, your cosmic womb or gateway seed, quote unquote, with the goal of raising both your vibrations and frequencies to higher levels of oscillation, which allows access to the various higher dimensional stargates within both of your human templates through conscious co-creative DNA activation. So when this process takes place, you will inadvertently have access to their energy field, their past lives, their existence on parallel timelines, lesser densities, and their thoughts. So you essentially open up a channel as things merge, as this co-creative energy merges, in order to obtain different stargates, in order to move through different stargates. There's like a telepathic communication that happens initially, and then you're connecting with their oversoul, they're connecting with yours. If they also have this within their template, they're going to connect to as much as you're sensing. They're going to sense as much on their end if they have these gifts. They don't, they're going to be connecting with other things. So, we're connecting with their oversoul, the monad, the co-creating on the collective archetypal planes, as well as reaching up into the lesser dense planes where co-creating to make adjustments to the Earth's crystal grid ley lines and templates will be possible. So the end goal isn't to stay in extreme intimate connection on all these levels. It's the gestation period happens, and that's where the bulk of this work is done. And it's a process that allows integration, right? Integration, like we integrate all these different layers in order to birth forth, to reach through these different stargates and to birth forth the necessary co-creation. And if your templates are a match, at that point, like some people might share the same soul matrix, they're part of the same soul family, and a permanent merging together happens, and as they connect, both connect with this higher monad, and you'll kind of like, you'll bridge past the astral field. So you'll bridge past all this, like really connecting intensely on these different levels at one point if you are part of the same family, and you'll stay connected completely, but from a really high dimensional plane. So it's, you no longer will be telepathic with them in the same way, where it'll be as direct. You'll no longer be transferring information about past lives. Like, it won't be so intense, but you'll still stay connected to them, kind of from this like shared, within the shared soul group. And then whatever information whatever you're processing is going to get uploaded to that shared group, that soul group, that soul matrices. And so, you don't even have to stay in contact with these people, but you'll still be sharing information. So if they learn something, then you'll learn it. And this is how we kind of merge upwards, and we begin to expand in consciousness. It's by connecting with other people within the same soul matrix. And then the connection is established, and it's kind of like the 100th monkey. If one is learning one thing, the other one's going to just know it instantaneously. It's a really cool process. So if you carry a similar template to myself, in most cases, a connection will be made to co-creatively open stargates within the other's template, within the other soul's template, in pursuit of the end goals assigned by the Interdimensional Association of Free Worlds, as a means of creating a unified collective of guardian angelic nations for inter-universal peaceful co-creations towards regenesis. So if that rings a bell with you, I'd love to hear from you. If you understand what I'm saying and you get it, I would love to be in contact. When connecting at this level, every intention, thought, and action has increased 100-fold. Amplification power, potential for co-creating changes to the Earth's template, as well as accelerating ascension for both involved, with huge adjustments to the collective reality field. So as seed potential merges with yours, your role as gatekeeper becomes activated. This merging of power becomes the center point, the eye of the storm, like from which you both begin to wield time. You wield the time matrix around you. So it's a really interesting process that takes place, and you can kind of, you can see it happening, right? Two people that are aware and that have this template, they see it happening. And this is where integration takes place. This is where like a lot of the healing and the merging from lower densities takes place, because you can really see what's appearing in the reality field becomes very apparent as this integration work takes place and as this merging takes place to reach these different stargates. So once this awareness is bridged, then kind of like that eye of the storm, like whatever purpose it is, right? And it might just be to connect to like soul family, like, you're making a connection to your soul matrix, and you're having to integrate with the other souls that are there, especially if you're in direct contact with them. Like, you're going to feel the merging, and then you're going to feel the eye of the storm, and then all those people within that soul group are going to be working the eye of the storm and going to be altering the time matrix around them together. And if you're doing this work for different purposes, you're going to feel it on different levels. And there's like kind of these immediate layers. Again, it's like the egg, the cosmic egg. You have all these layers, and so sometimes you're wielding the eye of the storm, and you're getting you're altering the time matrix around you, but not necessarily in your immediate environment, and it could be on a global scale, right? On this huge scale, the time matrix, can be adjusting different things, and only the two of you are going to be aware of what it is that you're adjusting, and then you see that information come back in and confirm, what you're working on. The process and functioning is the process from which the idea of twin flame emerges from. So this is where the twin flame, as explained in New Age popular culture, speaks of the effects that may occur during this process, but misses the point entirely when it comes to purpose, to true purpose. So as a Stargate Keeper, you will experience this process with many other souls that are on a similar mission to yourself, and the twin flame concept is a part of the false light narratives, which reinforce the forced breeding programs currently working to infiltrate the bioregenesis, spiritual regenesis of the earth. Okay, so this is where they lock down, where I feel they've really locked down the energy of the gatekeepers and slowed down global ascension, was with this twin flame narrative. Because all of a sudden this process became romanticized. It kept people in a loop with, the false breeding programs and the infiltrations, and not being able to distinguish between like these connections taking place that are really just promoting healing between two people, moving all the way up to people who are adjusting timelines and who are making adjustments to the Earth's core grids, right? And so there's a huge difference between all of this, and a lot of people just got sucked into really base instinctual biological response, right? When it comes to a lot of the negative narratives that just tied the masculine and feminine into really unhealthy habits. Really inverted roles, and this like push-pull triangulation dynamics, all that sort of thing. So the whole twin flame thing needs to be debunked, and it will. As soon as information is brought forward, it automatically begins to trickle down. So when that narrative breaks apart, that's going to just like release so many souls from being kept, locked up in that whole ideology, false ideology. So the initial process of combining energy seeds will give you complete access to the soul's akasha, as previously mentioned. And during this time, that you're assisting them with integrating any fragmented aspects and dealing in lower densities, past or parallel timelines, as they equally accomplish this with you. So two people together that actually have these gifts will be doing this together. This means alchemizing all the incoming thoughts, images, and feelings into higher frequencies, and really like purposeful intent, right? Drawing the energies up from the womb into the heart and into the tree of life spindle beyond the crown, moving the co-creative seed slowly upwards through the higher gates until it reaches the primal and light sound fields. So after alchemizing and integrating all the lower frequencies, it will be possible to move entirely through the higher gates of ascension. You are both simultaneously moving towards on like a multi-dimensional level, physically, mentally, emotionally, through the different etheric bodies. So potentially co-creating with other souls afterwards, who have this template and who are doing this work, who are magnetized to you to do this specific work, if you have this in your blueprint. And so this is, again, it's not a romantic process. It really is this process of ascension of the soul. And this is why, whether the twin flame thing gets caught, because sometimes we're doing this work with one soul, and we're meeting, we're able to attain like different stargates, right? Depending on the combination of energies. But then but then we have to continue on to do the work with other souls to complete different missions, to make it through different gates, and not just work with that one individual. But this experience is so powerful and so potent. Usually people will encounter this experience and they will automatically, because that ideology of the twin flame is out there, will automatically associate it with that whole ideology and not actually benefit from what's happening on a deeper layer. And then they also get caught and they don't move on to complete the work, which is usually with a large number of people over the course of your lifetime. Right? We're doing this work over and over and over again with different individuals that are a match to our template. So how to consciously and co-creatively open the various gates, like the more intricate details, is information that I chose not to disclose, like in this article and this video, for purposes of maintaining the integrity of the time matrix in regards to the biospiritual genesis of the planetary grid for global ascensions. Because basically, if you understand this information, you're here learning to master these templates within yourself, and you have come with this specific mission, and this information will only resonate with you. But on a deeper level, it's like we just want to ensure that the information that we're sharing is is being shared with people who are going to use it wisely, and people who understand the importance and the integrity of maintaining kind of like a safeguard around the information. So if you would like to learn more, because this information does resonate with you, if you'd like to book a session and share in exchanging gifts and talents, as part of this new economy that we're trying to draw in, or to further your knowledge, then you can send me your birth time, your birth date, your birth time, and place of birth to 21stcenturyweaver@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you if you have this specific blueprint. Right within, I was given the information to understand how it shows up in the birth chart. And so if you're a match to this specific blueprint, this specific mission, I'll be able to see it in your birth chart and really enjoy having an exchange. And or if you're just getting started with this information, but it resonates with you, it's within you, and you have the match in your birth chart, and you want to set up a session so that I can assist you, then that'd be wonderful as well. And if you don't hear from me within 72-hour period to set up a session, don't worry. Don't take it personally. Everyone is working with different talents and gifts. And if you're generally moving in the same direction I am, you have the equal value and equal purpose to bringing forward and repairing and clearing a lot of the distortions that we're now faced with globally, and hopefully be able to assist, in moving forward into 2022, 2023. It's just such powerful years, and I'm actually really, really feeling excited about them, and I feel like there's a lot of momentum. There's a lot of people that are going to be awakening to their gifts. There's just so many awesome things going on. So please go ahead and contact me if this resonates with you. And if not, wishing you just as much, luck and success with your personal gifts and talents as you continue to unravel them and move forward on your path. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Take care.